I'm Amanda, and this is Not Your Granny's Quilt Show. Hey, everybody, welcome to today's episode. I am so excited to have Sarah Ruth Morris on the show today. If you don't know her by her full name, she is Ruthlessly Handmade on Instagram. And I have been a follower for a while. I've been following her work, following along with what she's got going on. And I just love her candidness. I love how real she gets with what she's experiencing, going through, deconstructing her faith, her religion, working through what it means to be a Christian in America today. And as a person who's constantly questioning my upbringing, my religion, my faith, and deconstructing, it's just been kind of interesting to watch someone else's journey with it. So, Sarah makes incredible quilts. She exclusively hand quilts now. She used to quilt by machine, but gave it up when she decided it looked like crap. So she says it herself. I'm not saying it as an opinion. She said it herself. And so she went to hand quilting in the tradition of her family. She's a fifth generation quilter, which I found so incredibly interesting. She kind of tells the tale of that in the beginning of the episode, and we just touch on a lot of things. And so just to be forewarned, there is some slight mention of SA, of suicide, and eating disorder. So if you're sensitive to those topics, please skip this one and maybe we'll catch you on the next one. If you need, the suicide prevention hotline is 988. So if you or a loved one is experiencing struggles in the moment, please use that hotline and reach out for help. You are loved and we want you here. So that being said, let's just jump into this episode. I'm so excited to give it to you guys, and yeah, let's do it. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good, Amanda. How are you?
I'm good. My voice would be normal. It's good to finally meet you and get to talk, not in person, but face to face, at least a little.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I've been on a few podcasts before, and I always like to give like a little preface for anyone who's listening because I'm an avid podcast consumer and I listen to them on my way to work, at work, with my kids, in the minivan, on my walks, whenever. So here is a quick PG-13 or rated R label, just in case you have kiddo ears listening in the background. I have a little bit of loose lips, so maybe don't listen to this with your kiddos. If Timothy or Nicholas ever listen to this in the future, boys, Mama loves you. She just has a little bit of loose lips when she thinks about art and things. So that's the listener's warning.
PSA. It's fine. I am very cussy. When I started quilting, my friends labeled me the cussy crafter because I was the cussy puzzler and the cussy crocheter and the cussy quilter. So things fly out of my mouth too. So you're safe here. The podcast is marked explicit everywhere it's released so that people know that there's going to be a few F-bombs, and you've been warned. And if you choose to consume past this point, that's on you, babe.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So we're all adults here, I mean,
Yeah,
it
love
is
that.
what it is. So anyway, while you're here, we're gonna just talk about all the things. I have felt so moved by so many of your projects and have some connections, unfortunately, to some of them, but also feel very seen by them. So that's been really special to see. And so I'm excited to just chat with you and learn all about you. And we mentioned before recording, we have connections in education because I was a teacher and all that. So anyway, but before we dig into all that, how did you even get into quilting in the first place?
Okay, so I just did an interview with somebody answering this question, and it turns out my answer was wrong.
Correction
I
here.
I know. I try to give you like as much juice as possible. No, it's not juicy. Um, I've been telling everyone that I am a fourth generation quilter. It turns out I am a fifth generation quilter.
Whoa.
Um, since I was little, I have known that my great grandmother, who we always called Grandma Babe, that Grandma Babe made quilts out of like feed sacks or whatever type of material or fiber was laying around. And she did this for people all throughout the Great Depression because their small little place in Surreal, Oklahoma
Wow.
was struggling, like everybody was struggling. Turns out she learned how to quilt and make quilts from her mother. So,
Wow.
correction, I'm actually a fifth generation quilter. Whoops. But she taught her daughter, who is my grandma, Dolores Howard, how to quilt. And then my grandma taught my mom,
Mm.
Melinda Collins, how to quilt. And then my sister, Laura, who's the oldest of five, I'm the youngest of five kids, she
Oh,
picked it up on her own, but only had interest because of our familial thing going on. But I actually learned from my mom one Christmas, maybe like a month. Okay, I'm lying. It wasn't a month. Maybe it was 2 weeks before Christmas. And I looked at my mom and I was like, Mom, I think I want to make a quilt for my boyfriend, who at the time was Tom Morris. Yes, my now
okay.
husband.
Okay.
Yeah, my now husband had this had the quilt that I made, but at the time it was like 2 weeks before, and my mom was like, "There's no way you're gonna get this done," and I was like, "Oh,
Watch
you
me.
fucking bet I'm gonna get it done." So like, I'm a little pushy, and I forced her to show me how to do it, and it's like the ugliest rail fence quilt you have ever seen in your entire life. His favorite color is green, and I went to the fucking Joanne, and I was like, "Let me just buy all green fabric. No contrast, no anything." And I sewed it for him, and it turns out to be like 3 days before Christmas. It is not quilted. So my mom shows me how to hand tie, and we hand tied it together, and then she told me that there was a way to do binding on the machine, but she was afraid I would make it look ugly, and, like, in retrospect, looking back, I'm like, "Oh, she means slapping it on there with the machine." So
Yeah.
she handed the binding for me, and then it's Christmas, and somehow this quilt winds up in his hands. But
Wow.
that was my first quilt ever. That's how I ventured into quilting, and then that following semester, I had a friend that was getting married, and I was like, how cool would it be if I made quilts for all of my friends getting married, which is semi a tradition that I've kept on since then. And then
Yeah.
I made a quilt for one of my favorite professors at King University is where I went to college and played volleyball, and he was my favorite math professor. So he got a fractal quilt. If any of your listeners
Oh,
are math people, I made him a
yeah.
fractal quilt, and that's kind of how I got going. I started, man. See, I can never remember if I was 18 when I made him this quilt or if I was 19. Like, had we only been dating for 5 months or had we been dating for like a year and 5 months? So
Mm.
I'm sure if I looked at dates, I could remember it, but that's how I started.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Bound and determined. It's so funny because like I'm the oldest and my baby sister is very much like, watch me, I bet you anything I can do this. And I'm like, and when she was living at my parents' house for like when she was transitioning from moving from like north in the state to she moved back home and then she moved down to California with her boyfriend. She was like, I'm going to learn how to quilt. And we were like, okay, because we were still running the business out of my parents' house at that time. And so she had access to everything. And so we taught her how to make quilts. And now she's like, okay, I'm going to make this new quilt. Da, da, da. She just like took it on. And it's just so funny that determination of like the baby sisters. Like, okay, it's a real thing.
I love that. Like most of the things in my life, I hate saying this. I sound like a bitch when I say this, but maybe most of the stuff that I've done in my life has just been out of pure spite determination kind of thing, and not like to spite anyone else, but maybe just to prove it to myself, and I just
Mhm.
had it in my head that I was gonna make him a quilt that Christmas, and by golly, it got made, and I mean, my toddler, my 3-year-old, sleeps under it now every night, like,
Oh.
he loves it. It's backed in flannel, so it's, like, extra comfy, but,
Mhm.
it is an eyesore. It is for sure an eyesore.
It's the thought that counts. You made it happen, and that's all that matters, you know? It's like I think that's if you haven't made an ugly quilt early on in your quilting, then it's like who even are you? I don't
Yeah.
accept it. I don't accept it. You're not valid. No, I'm just kidding. That's rude. That's so funny. Well, do you I guess, yeah, have you had like a tried and true method that you've stuck with ever since your mom taught you, or have you kind of evolved your process over time that felt better, wrestled with certain aspects of it? Because I know we all have bits that are like, I hate this part. I need to figure out a better way to do this part.
So, it's funny you ask that because in this podcast, we could get into real life, but this answer is the same answer for quilting and for real life. Y'all, if your mom tells you something, she's right. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think my mother has ever given me bad advice. And, I'm trying not to be dismissive of people who have hard relationships with their mothers. Totally hear that. But
Hmm.
my mother is like a strong, capable, like sane woman. And we have a very strong mother-daughter relationship. And these little things that she used to tell me in the beginning of quilting, like my eyes would roll like right out of my head. And then
Hmm.
I would end up looking at something super shitty about the quilt and be like, damn, mom's right, obviously, but I just wanted to do it this way and
Hmm.
such, how that follows into all aspects of my life. But if you want to talk specifically, because this is a quilting podcast, just like little shit that a 20 or a 21-year-old wouldn't take the time to do. Like, hey, it
Hmm.
actually does look nicer if you trim your half square triangle units. Like,
Uh-huh.
barf, like that actually turns out it does look nicer. Or it
Yeah.
actually does look nicer when you hand bind your quilts. Like,
Hmm.
barf, who wants to hear that as a 21-year-old? And it actually does look nicer when if you're machine quilting, I don't machine quilt anymore, but if you slow down and don't just mow the damn quilt through the machine, like it actually does look nicer. So
Hmm.
there are lots of steps that is my mother literally breathed through me as I'm quilting, and I reach out to her a lot about a lot of steps in quilting, and her reply is always, "Yeah, you should know how to do this by now, but you don't because you got super specialized super fast." She,
Mm.
got her degree, for teacher education, but in oh, crap, am I not gonna remember the name? Home ec.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, so all of her classes and everything was for home ec, and one of them being sewing or like a seamstress. So she was classically trained with a sewing machine or doing things by hand. She knows
Hmm.
how to make clothes, she knows how to do all of it. She's like the type of person who, if you asked to hem their pants, she would not say no, whereas quilters, all of us are like, there's no way I could figure out how to hem your pants, but she would be able to do it. And
Yeah.
she answers this question like, "Oh, you should already know how to do that because she is classically trained." Whereas quilters just kind of know how to do all of the steps in quilting and don't really know anything else. I guess that's kind of why you see sometimes on Instagram, people will feel really good feeling about getting a bag made
Hmm.
because bag is not a quilt, and it took a lot more brain steps than
Yeah.
making a quilt. And
Yeah.
I've always been like, kudos for you because that's something outside of quilting. But
Hmm.
yeah, that's just kind of the way that I've evolved. My family in Surreal, Oklahoma, that I referenced earlier,
Hmm.
they, like lots of distant cousins and distant aunt and uncles, have sat down for maybe 20 to 30 years at a big long quilting hoop, and they have hand quilted different quilts that people send in from all across the country. They take the money and they either donate it to their church or some kind of special cause that they want to. But the king size quilt on my bed is hand quilted, and um, I feel a lot of that hand quilting spirit in me now. I no
Yeah.
longer machine quilt my quilts. One, because they look fucking atrocious, but two, because I really like channeling that hand quilting spirit that people before me have instilled in me. And I really like how pearl cotton weight 8, trying to
Hmm.
be specific for the podcast, pearl cotton weight 8 looks a big chunky stitch on hand with hand quilting on quilts. So that's kind of where I've evolved to today. If you had told me at 20 or 19 or 21 that I was going to be making quilts that I hand quilted, I would not have believed you, because my goal of making a quilt was the dopamine boost of finishing something as fast as possible. It didn't matter how sloppy or shitty it looked, but
Hmm.
I'm I'm quite a bit different now. I slow down and take the time, and I unpick and rip a lot of seams, and it
Hmm.
it really helps. I guess I've grown up. I'm 30 now. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 30 now, and turning 30 helps.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm about to turn 40, so um I'm I'm a little decade ahead of you, but I also went through that. I didn't even start quilting till I was like 31. So it's been a journey of like my mom has always done. My my mom is also trained, like not trained professionally, but like her grandmother, when my mom would go to the ranch in the summers, her grandmother would teach her how to sew. So she's known how to sew all the things her whole life, and then would, sew all the things for me as a kid. And like, I've got clothing and bedroom decor and, you know, toys and dress up and doll clothes and all the things. It was just like she could sew anything. Mom was magic and still is magic. But when she started quilting of like a year and a half before me, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And a couple of my friends had already been quilting and they kept trying to convince me. I'm like, no, I crochet. Like, I don't sew. That's my mom's thing. And so then when I finally started, she was like, oh, really? You're going to fucking sew now? Like, wow. And I was like, Mom, chill out. We're doing the same thing. It's fine. So it's fine. And then when we both learned how to long arm, we were like, uh-oh, we need to buy one. And so we were like, well, my husband's like, just start a business. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And we were like, this is the best idea I've ever heard in my life. So we bought a long arm and did that whole thing. But yeah, it's interesting like what changes over time. Because at first I was just like, yeah, get the damn thing done. Like seam allowance be damned. I don't care. Let's just get the quilt done, like whatever. And now I'm like, hold on. We need to calm down because my early quilts are falling apart because I was being very um impatient, I guess. And so yeah, I totally feel that. It's just kind of like where in your journey did that maturity happen? Like when did you finally look at your quilt and go, I owe this fabric and this project more of me than just to like slap through it and hurry up?
Are you asking me specifically when did that happen? Because I can tell you.
Yeah, I want to know. Please do tell.
I I moved to Arkansas for 3 years to finish, my ed policy, not to finish, but to start and finish my ed policy, grad degree,
Mhm.
and it was hard. If you're listening to this on 2 speed or 1.5 speed, I am slowing down my words because I cannot emphasize enough how hard that degree was. Like, I have been good at school. I have been good at learning. I have been the teacher's pet. I have sat in the front of every classroom I've ever gone to. And
Mhm.
I started this program and I was the dumbest in my cohort. It shocked me. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Why am I bad at school? And like that whole first year of the program, like rocked me. I was like, why am I not the best at this? And
Mhm.
my cohort mates, I love them, and It's all fine now, but there wasn't any beef with me being the last place winner all the time. It was just kind of what everyone got used to.
Mhm.
But with this grad degree, I had to pause and stop quilting for a little bit. And
Mm.
I think maybe it was 13 or 14 full months where I didn't touch anything. I think that was a nice place of reflection because
Mm.
as a person, I was developing that shit. Turns out you can't be the best at everything. Like when you go to a program that is the fourth ranked program in the country, turns out you're going to run into people who are smarter than you and better at you at learning things faster
Mhm.
than you. And I started analyzing a lot of different areas of my life then. And one of them was quilting. And it's not that I thought, "Oh, how can I be the best at quilting?" It was more, "How can I show up for myself in this moment better?"
Mhm.
Because with my grad degree, it was obvious. I don't know how much you know about academia or your listeners know about academia, but people that find themselves in positions as professors or molding young minds at colleges, they're really smart. And
Mhm.
it was obvious, like, shaking us out in my program, I was not headed for the professor route,
Mhm.
but how could I show up the best for myself where I needed to shine?
Right.
So, where I am now, I'm very happy. It's literally my dream job. I get to work with a school district and make data meaningful to them. I don't have to publish s- stuff that is unreadable to a average layperson, and
Mhm.
I don't have to fake myself up or think that my work is the most important thing in the world because ouch, maybe if you are in academia and you're listening to this, I'm just going to give you a hint that your stuff actually isn't the most important thing in the world happening right now. But it was all of these places in my life where, okay, I need to show up for myself a little bit better. So when I came back to quilting after my degree ended and I had more time to be like, oh, this is what it feels like to have the brain capacity to think again, think about how I want to be creative because I was just pumping out writing piece after writing piece after writing piece in my grad degree. Um,
Mhm.
I just showed back up in the space and I was like, things actually look a lot nicer when I do X, Y, and Z. And I feel a lot better about what I've created when X, Y, and Z definitely gets done. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I am the most precise and best s- sewist, I think is the term we've come on. I'm not saying that I am now. It's just compared to like my earlier work, it's
Mhm.
night and day difference. I mean, when I get a better sewing machine, which cough cough to anyone listening, my current sewing machine is a wreck, and I am not sponsored by anyone.
Yeah.
But,
Excuse me.
yeah, yeah, uh, the current sewing machine I use is, like, an absolute wreck, so, like, my don't look at the seams too hard or, like, the actual knots of the thread, but yeah, that was the moment where everything kind of changed for me. The short answer of that is I can tell people that, "Oh, it was whenever I became a mom." That's
Mm.
usually a short answer because most women hear that answer, they're like, "Oh, yeah, me too." And I'm like, "Yeah." So that's the short answer, but the real answer is it was a place in my life where I came to reflection that I wanted to show up better.
Yeah. No, I love that, and I think it's important to recognize that in kind of how we as individuals change and what it is, what's the catalyst for that, and when did your perspective shift? Because I think like putting yourself through a really hard program. Like I mean, I took 1,000 years to get my undergrad and then took a long time to decide to actually get a master's degree because there just was nothing that felt worth it to me. And especially after literally taking 8 years to get my stupid undergrad degree. Um, and even that was like once I decided and I felt like really convicted about it at the time, it was still was so freaking hard. And like um I'm proud of it. I think sometimes I still kind of like slink away, like, oh, I just got my master's in this. It's like, no, actually, that was like really hard and it was terrible. And I had to finish it in COVID and like it was all online. So I had no like my if my one friend who lives locally wasn't also doing it with me, I would not have finished, I don't think, because we had each other and because everything else was online. All my professors were online. Some of them weren't even here. It was, through my local university, but it was just like a struggle bus. But for me, it was kind of in those moments too that I was like, who am I? Who am I? Like, who am I doing this for? What is this? Like, why did I do this? Like, it's when you really have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself questions like, who the fuck am I? Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, legit would like lean into the mirror and have these conversations with myself because I was just like, what the actual fuck is happening? Like, and I was ready to move forward and do all this stuff. And then when I got rejected to like take over the um design technology is what my school program called it, but at the elementary where I was teaching, and I was like, I can take it over. I can make a whole program that can be repeatable, and whoever ends up taking it over, they can just take it over. Like I'll create the curriculum for it. And they were just like, nah, no thanks. And I was like, well, I quit then. They were like, wait, what? And I was like,
Wait, what?
what did I do this for? Like, what did I do this
Yeah.
for? If
Yeah.
I can't move forward in the way, and I don't want to go try to find a new school because there's no other schools like that have that specific like track of a class that goes through the whole K-12 system of that schooling charter like it, anyway, it was a whole thing. So yeah, I totally feel that. And like, and yeah, you can be like, oh, when I became a mother, and it's like, okay, but also like you're more than just a mom,
Yeah.
like, and not that I have anything against moms. I love moms and I love kids, and there's so much in that and so much respect for that. It's just also like you're a whole person, and it's important to like recognize those things, I think, because I think, we when women have children, they become mothers and people tend to ignore the rest of who they are as a person. So
For
um,
sure. Yeah.
I appreciate the real answer because that's what I'm here for. um, so yeah, I guess like I think the first time I saw some of your work was is it the Isaiah House?
Mhm.
Like the fundraising quilts that you do. And
Mhm.
you were calling for blocks, I think. And I confess and admit, like I've had to deconstruct my religion and I shy away from things that are tend to shy away from things that are related to religion or the Bible or church or things like that, just because of my own wounding, and it has nothing to do with anybody else. But it is an interesting project. So could you tell me, because I kind of, like I said, I shied away from it, but it is interesting. So I'd like to hear from your perspective, like what that means to you, and why you keep at it.
I would love to. So the Isaiah 117 house was started. The first ever house with a red door was started in the small town community where I used to be a teacher.
Okay.
Rhonda Paulson, the founder, I taught her children in the small little town community. But the short answer of what I can give you, because people hear foster care kids and then they go, the Isaiah something, like that's the typical conversation of how it goes.
Sure.
Rhonda saw a need that kids are removed from their homes and then they just go and sleep in offices
Mhm.
or hang out in offices, like with their clothes and maybe a trash bag.
Mhm.
So this cracked Rhonda right open. those of you listening, I recommend you listen to her audiobook of what she just wrote. Don't read it with your eyeballs, read it with your earballs as I joke, but
Yeah.
listen to it because I love hearing her voice and I cried listening to it a lot. But she was like, what if we had a house where these kids could be loved on and enriched and made sure that they know that they're not alone in on the worst day of their life? Like,
Mhm.
a kid can be removed from their home while they're at school. So they, as they're leaving school, they don't even know that they don't get to go home. So an Isaiah house is a place where their social worker would drive them to an Isaiah house, take them to be spend some hours with a volunteer, and they get to do whatever they want to do. So, say it's eat a steak dinner, they take them to eat a steak dinner. If it's buy fast food, their favorite fast food restaurant, and bring it back to the Isaiah house and then just play, that's what they do. It's about $300 to $400 to lavishly love on these children in the hours that they spend at an Isaiah 117 house. And then once they found their placement and the social worker has secured it, they will take that child and then take them on their way. Um, and the stories that she has specifically, like I've highlighted an interview with Rhonda in the past
Mhm.
where it's just things that will crack you wide open. You used to be a teacher. Foster care kids are near and dear to my heart. But the interesting part of where it intersects with my faith is, gosh, am I going to say it on a podcast and get canceled? An interesting part where it intersects with my faith is this is an opportunity to show children that they are loved, that something greater out there loves and cares for them no matter their circumstance. And they don't need to be cloaked in shame while they're sitting at an office, a nasty, sterile office, while waiting for somebody who they don't even know to now take care of them. They just need to be surrounded in love. And there's no guilt, there's no shame, they didn't do anything wrong. Like a lot of those hours that volunteers spend with the foster care kids is them reassuring them, like nothing, you didn't do anything wrong. Like,
Mhm.
someone out there loves you. Let us love on you. Let us be there
Mhm.
for you. I chickened out of saying what I was gonna say because maybe I'll write about it in a few weeks, but not looking to get quite canceled by the Christian crew at the moment. But basically, how I see this is whether you are a Christian, whether I'm a Christian, whether whoever is a Christian, there are still children getting removed from their homes and having really terrible days that still need to be loved and shown that they are a human worthy of love and celebration and joy, and they are worthy of being lavishly loved, however those gifts may look like to them, because we're talking about kids, right? They're
Mhm.
allowed to feel that. They don't have to pay any type of burden. Or one
Yeah.
thing that's big to me is always checking in every year, like, oh, the volunteers are trained not to I can never say this word right, proselytize to the
Yeah.
children. Like, it's not like an environment of
Okay.
you need to be saved or you're going to hell because
Mm.
raised Southern Baptist, that's a big shit show for me. But it's
Mhm.
not. It's just a warm, welcoming environment for those kiddos. Another big
Mm.
question that I get a lot from people who don't want to sign up for blocks because they find out that it's a Christian organization is, I'm afraid they don't accept everybody. They accept everybody. A gay kid, a trans kid, a any kind of kid, any walks of life, because they know that all kids are humans, that they are humans worthy of love. And if anyone met Rhonda and met her soul, they would know that it all stems from a place of her mission wanting to share that God is love. And the fucking political climate at the moment that has
Mhm.
twisted so violently and shrewdly and terribly, so much so to where I don't even want to say that I'm a Christian, because if somebody who hears this white woman say I'm a Christian, in their head it's like, oh, like the MAGA Christian kind, the one that like thinks gay people don't have rights, like immediately, like this is
Right.
not this is not Rhonda's heart at all. And this is why it is so. And one of my friends gave me a good point. I was messaging because every year it's the same thing. At
Mhm.
least 5 to 10 people will fill my inbox and be like, "Love that you're doing this, but can't seem to support making a block or sending any money tickets in at all." And
Mhm.
I shared this with this friend again this year, Kelly, and she said, those kids are still there. Those
Mhm.
kids are still being removed from those homes. Those kids still need the love.
Mhm.
So I have my side of the coin very
Mhm.
firm. Like, I am so about making kids feel loved and doing what I can for kids always. And because I've been in therapy for 9 years, I know there's always another side of the coin.
Mhm.
I understand why anybody in this political current climate would be hesitant to have anything to do with a Christian-based organization, like, totally. Like, when I hear James Dobson, I get, like, the trickle,
Ugh.
trickle, like
Ugh.
a
Yeah.
like,
Ugh.
anything like that. Like, did you grow up listening to Adventures in Odyssey?
You know I did.
You know I did,
My
right?
Heebies have been GB'd. Like I cannot. Blech. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's where a lot of, the way I was raised and the way that I was shamed and shown shown shame and been told I should be ashamed and guilted, and it, it is a struggle. And so thank you for explaining that, and thank you for not judging me, being mad at
Mm,
me about it. Because and it's not on you either. And I think that that's like part of like people telling you like, well, I can't support this. It's like, okay, well, what is that going to do for, that doesn't help. It's like they're just looking for a place to put that. And so I appreciate the conversation, because I think it is important to talk about these things out loud. And yeah, it's really hard. Like I wouldn't call myself a Christian per se, but I think our whole purpose of being on this planet is to learn unconditional love, regardless
mm,
of how you approach it, whether it's, through a God or not a God. Like, I think, regardless of what that looks like, it's unconditional love is it. And so I think a lot of Christians, in quotes, forget that part. And MAGA has for sure forgotten that part, based on their behavior and their actions and what they are condoning within the political climate, and are fine with our commander in chief calling women piggy and trying to pretend he's not a child sex trafficker, while heavily redacting the document that shows proof, while there's so much proof all around no matter what. It's like, it's infuriating. So anyway, that being said, you're right, I do have a soft spot for kids. And my husband is a therapist and has been working with a lot of kids in and out of kind of foster care and therapy situations, because they've had run-ins with the law or whatever. And it's hard. It's a hard
yeah.
place for those kids. It's a hard place for the adults in the situation who want to help them, because there are so many flaming hoops to jump through to do it.
Mhm.
So I can appreciate a place that is just like a neutral zone that is just like, you're okay. You're okay, kid. Like,
Yeah. And
you,
that's the reason why I love these Isaiah 117 houses. Like, I forget the number, but there's so many over the across the country now because so many places are seeing this need of this kid on their worst day should not just be sat and very hungry eating like a vending machine potato chip bag, just like sitting there waiting for their placement.
right.
And you mentioned like the full goal of purpose on life is how can we love better and
Mhm,
love unconditionally. And I feel so firm that this is where Rhonda's heart is. Um,
mhm,
but deconstructing my faith recently for the second time, I did it a first time when I was a teacher, but this second time around was probably a lot harder. I hit the bottom of the pail a lot harder and more severely. Like, I probably spent a full 36 hours not sure if there was a God or what was out in the universe. But
mhm,
however however I shape it and whichever religion I look at, and oh, because, whoever's listening to this, America is not a Christian nation and Christianity is not the most superior religion. If anyone needed to hear that,
You're
uh,
right.
how I shape it is if I'm not actively trying to love unconditionally and love people better, I've
Mhm,
got it wrong. And my this whole deconstruction round started with somebody who I thought I was friends with,
mhm,
um, told me she did not want to be friends with me anymore because all I am is political,
mm,
apparently. Um,
interesting.
and to which she replied, like, the Bible tells me to be conservative. And I'm like, can you share with me where the Bible tells you to be conservative? And
Yeah.
that it was not responded to. But it sent me down this rabbit trail of, oh shit, how many people around me actually think what is happening in the current political climate is okay? And
Right.
it made me start doubting people. Like, I went through it was awful. And,
Mhm,
without getting too deep into the weeds, because I'm sure I'll write about it, where I have landed is I reached out to an old college volleyball teammate because she's
mhm,
now a pastor.
mm.
Because women can be pastors, if anyone can
Yes.
do
Yes,
that.
they can.
She's now a pastor. And I said, I'm just really struggling with loving people who I think I told her in the message, I said, loving people who I think are idiots.
Yeah.
Because that's how I'm struggling right now is I'm like,
Yeah.
"You're an idiot. You're thinking about that wrong. You're stupid. You're an idiot. You're stupid. You're an idiot." And
Yeah.
as somebody who knows my number one job is to love people better, I reached out to her and I said, "I just don't understand how I'm supposed to love people that are thinking the absolute wrong things and are so misinformed and are just so wrong." And she just, like, replies with so much grace because that's the person that she is, and it's like, I think social media is warping our mind that we need to love every single crazy person that is having a hot take or a crazy opinion, but
Mhm,
what if everyone in the world just loved someone who is close to them a little bit better? And ever since she told that to me, like, I know this is a quilting podcast, but I just wanted to make sure that I have said this because maybe it'll impact somebody else. Ever since she has said that to me, it has shaped my deconstruction so much. Any
mhm,
human that I interact with, I am full on like, how can I love this person? How can I love this stranger? How can I love my mom better? How can I love my dad better? Like, it is anywhere that I see, I am trying to love better. And if everyone did that, I think that could help a lot of things.
Yeah, I think that is like learning to love better, I think is such a key part for me too, especially because I think what I was taught is love is actually not. It didn't feel loving to me growing up. So I've had to kind of reshape what that looks like and what that feels like and what it sounds like. And unfortunately, some people in my life don't aren't allowed in my life anymore because of it. And again, I had a friend last year who around this time was like, well, I guess we can't be friends because you won't see my point of view. And I'm like, okay, but like, where have you been for the last 17 years? Like, so it it's been a weird year for sure. Um, and I think if we're not questioning ourselves and our points of view every once in a while, it's like, again, how are you growing? How are you improving? And not that you always have to be, because I think we need times for rest and to just be still. But yeah, when you're faced with those moments of like, you can grow or you can bury your head in the sand, like get uncomfortable, and it is uncomfortable. I think that's why people shy away from it. It's really uncomfortable to look at what you thought you knew in the
Mm,
face and try to accept it for what it is and also try to figure out what to do with it once you know. So I can
yeah,
appreciate that. But
yeah,
it's a lot. And yes, this is a quilting podcast, but this is a lifey podcast. We are all complex beings behind our quilts, and it's so important to talk about, I think, like what our motivations are, where we come from with it, and what's behind the quilt. So I love.
yeah. Um, this fundraiser phrase, bleh, this fundraiser and project, I feel like it's a good place for me to actively serve because, yes, love being our greatest commandment, but also how can I serve other humans better? And while I may not be in the classroom anymore, I still want to serve kiddos. And when people come to me with those types of messages of being hesitant about it being a Christian organization, simple answer and how I truly feel is that sucks, but I totally understand. Like, there's zero judgment. I'm
Mhm.
like if I okay, I am my my therapist from Arkansas tried to help me rebrand myself. I've always called myself a super judgmental person, and she's like,
Mm,
"But how could you label it as discerning?" So let
mhm.
me have a discerning moment and be like, if I saw a mega auditorium where lots of lights were flashing and all of the people on stage were white, wearing very rich and expensive clothes, like
Yeah.
I might have a discerning moment and be like, this doesn't feel quite right. So
Yeah.
if someone's going to spend their time making a quilt block or their time donating their money donating fabric or their time doing long arming services for these quilts, I totally get for them to have a discerning moment and be like, I see that this is Christian. That feels a little fishy to me because Christianity is, as a whole in America, kind of awful right now.
Mhm.
But where I lead with love is all of these little interactions I can have on the internet. How can I respond to this more with love?
Mhm.
My uh, I wasn't going to talk about my husband's stupid Instagram, but how I'm getting there is his stupid Instagram has opened my views up to people who would not normally see my stuff.
Mhm.
And this allows for people from all walks of life to comment sorts of things to me, one of them being the most common of, your wife has a really deep voice. If you're listening to this, I've had a deep voice since I was like 12, okay? This is like fucking old news. Second, like giving hot takes or opinions about my faith deconstruction and the very few minimal things I've posted about it on my quilting page.
Mhm.
Some girl who has the word Catholic in her username
Mhm.
comments something about how it's the regular old thing that I'm sure all of the Southern Baptists who raised me are commenting that people who are deconstructing just need to be careful because they're just molding Jesus to fit the current culture and they're changing who Jesus is. And I'm like, oh, you're right. You want Jesus to be the Jesus that shames children for being in foster care in the first place and that it was their fault that their environment is bad and that they need to be saved from something that they weren't even responsible for putting themselves in the position of. That's the Jesus that you want to remain unchanged. Oh, and also that eunuchs and gay people weren't actually a thing of the past in the Bible. Like all of that is fake, right?
Right.
That's what you mean. Um,
Right.
but how I can respond better in those moments on the internet is be curious, ask questions, show up with love and be like, it's not a deconstruction, comma, but thing for me. It's not.
Mhm.
It's yes and in a lot of places that I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to get too off topic, but the answer is always leading in love. And I've told my followers and that filter on the close friends list that's green on
Mhm.
Instagram. I've told them before, if it ever feels like I'm showing up in a space and I don't feel authentic or it doesn't feel like I'm loving something in the best way that I can, call me on it because
Mhm.
that's a place where I try and live
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. And having a community of people around you that can help keep you in check because they do know you and they know your heart. And if they notice that you're not being authentic to yourself and true to your needs, like I think that as a Christian woman is one of the biggest hurdles to jump over is accepting and owning that you have needs and that it's okay.
Mhm.
And it's not your only goal in on this planet to be a doormat for everybody else in your life. And if your needs require you to dig in and question everything and learn more and ask questions, then that's okay. It's like it's the ignoring and telling people that they shouldn't have needs and the you just want to change Jesus. It's like, no, honey, you changed Jesus and you expect me
You
to
changed it.
swallow
Yeah,
that pill and I
yeah,
won't.
yep,
Like so yeah, it's a tricky spot and it's hard to be in it because yeah, it's easy to be like that person's a fucking moron and I'm
yeah,
not going to engage with them.
yeah,
And my husband will be the first person to be like, wow, that was kind of mean. And I'm like, well, it's a good thing I didn't type it out, isn't it? I just said it out loud and he's like, okay. Like, are you sure
yeah,
you want to say that to people? Or like, even the like three total comments I've gotten about things people don't like about this podcast. It's always about me. I talk too much, or how dare I say not your granny's whatever. And I'm always like, well, fuck you, Barbara. And he's like, are you sure that's how you want to present yourself to the world? And like, yeah, people can fucking choke on it. And he's like,
yeah,
God damn. He's like, first of all, yikes. Also, are you sure? And I'm like, no, I'm not sure. He's like my first line of defense because I can always tell him. And he's like, let's take a beat, let's take a breath. And I'm like, I don't want to. I want to be
yeah,
mad. I want to be a
yeah,
raccoon. So
yeah.
anyway, having those stops of people to go, whoa, I don't think that that's who you want to be. Like, I understand you have these feelings and it's okay to feel the feelings, but then also, how are you going to express to that person that you are love, that you are
Mhm.
a loving human being who cares? It doesn't mean you have to change yourself, but also like, how can you still engage with that kind of almost negativity with a little bit of kindness? And I'm just like, "Ugh, fuck you. I want to be mad."
You know what my favorite response is though? Because sometimes they'll say like overbearingly mean things to my husband. I see it as a spectrum. Like you could like call him gay, like who cares, whatever. But like
Mhm,
stuff that's like on the nose, very mean. My
mhm,
favorite response has been like, yikes.
mhm.
I'll tag him and be like, yikes.
Yeah,
Like, you took the time out of your day in this fake social media matrix to comment something that horrendous. Like, yikes, bro.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. There was a moment where my responses were just okay with a smiley face. Like, what? Okay. I'm not going to argue with you. And okay, whatever,
Yeah.
it's it's just an interesting place to be in because yeah, it's like everything is social media, business is driven there. Like, and that's the thing, it's like as a business, like I can't step away from it necessarily because then like that's where advertising happens. That's where people learn about what I do and that's how I share the podcast. And it's like I'd have to completely revamp everything I do to step away from it, which is a possibility, but I don't want to. So then it's like, yeah, how do you come into that space, curate it so that you're not having to be faced with a bunch of crazy bullshit, but also like open it up enough to let new people see what you do and see your work and get curious about it and invite the curiosity, but also how do you squash the negativity? And it's really hard because you can't do both all the time. I don't know.
I, I think that's a really good natural segue into my stretch quilt.
Yeah.
Have you seen that
I
quilt that I
have.
made of my body? Yeah.
Yep.
That day I lost the most amount of followers I've ever lost. And I'm like not hung up in the follower game. It was
No.
just a
Interesting.
data point that was interesting to me. And as someone who is a researcher too,
Hmm.
because here lately where I've landed with a lot of my art quilts that have been pulled from the depths of my fucking soul is I need you to feel something, and I'm hoping that you feel something slightly uncomfortable. And when when I made a quilt with my body on it that
Hmm.
were the actual spots of my current stretch marks, I didn't feel like that was pushing. I don't know. I think it was the F word. It says the word fuck on it.
Hmm.
And part of me wonders if it's gonna get into QuiltCon because it says the F word. I know that other F word quilts have gotten into it before, but
Hmm.
500 people were so offended by the use of the word fuck. And I'm like, baby girl, what universe are you living in? Do you still wear the same pearls that your daddy got you when you were 20? Like, is this the world that you live in? Because that's not the world. And
Yeah.
I always, even the things that I'm wanting to create within the next few months, within the next year, I want it to land. It's either going to smack you square across the jaw or it's going to make you feel something in your heart. And that's a good way that I like to express myself. But I don't know. I'm also a busy mom and I only have enough hours, limited hours of the day that if I'm going to be making something, how do I allocate those hours into things that I truly want to make?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That was a large leap from where we were before
No,
that
I
and
think
took us all the way over there. But
no, I think it's connected because I think it's a piece of like I might get emotional, so bear with me. I think it's a huge piece of coming out of a conservative haze, like blinders, your body is not for anybody else. You should hide it because it's gross because you're a girl. Ew,
your
disgusting.
girl, ew.
You damn slut. Like,
Mhm.
don't show your body ever, but also make sure men like you because if you're not pretty, you're going to never get married. And that's the only value you have in this world.
Yep.
And, um, and how dare you allude to anything that might be sexual in any way whatsoever. You have stretch marks because you had kids. Ew, you had sex. You
Ew.
said the word fuck. Ew, sex. Like,
Ew. Yep.
and so I think it comes together beautifully, but also just that space of being like, how do I undo literally since I was tiny being told that I'm gross, I'm bad, I'm evil because, well, when you come from a religion that tells you that you're born evil,
That you're born evil.
and then also you're a female in that space, from day one, you are shamed and put in a box and same thing. Like I don't know. I think because my brother was just so close in age to me and we looked so similar as little kids growing up, people thought we were twins all the time, or our voices sounded the same until, he hit puberty finally, that I just had it in my head that I looked and sounded like a boy. So, and it's just interesting, like the things we internalize and take away from what we've been shown and told since we were teeny tiny. So I think like your stretch quilt and then the collaborative quilt you made about different experiences with sexual assault and rape, and um that one ripped my guts wide open because I've been there, and like many many women, like there's just things that live inside of us, and no matter how much, sorry.
Oh, I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, it's good. Like I get emotional. Like it doesn't. I've been through so much therapy, and it's good. Like I think I just get emotional from the fact that like we live in a space that is just makes it hard, that we have to make art about it for people to listen.
Yeah.
We have to scream from the rooftops for anybody to be like, oh, that's a bummer. Like, what were you wearing? Like, what do you mean, what was I wearing? I was at work.
Yeah.
I was doing my job. Like, what do
Yeah.
you mean, what was I wearing? So it's just very powerful and important. And so I appreciate it so much. And just, yeah, it's like anything, just feeling seen is just so important. And I think so many of us, especially those of us who were raised in a conservative, religious culture of like, you don't talk about that stuff. Anyway, so no, I think what the work you've been putting out is very important. And I mean, if it makes people clutch their pearls, then by all means, make them clutch their pearls, because I think the more uncomfortable people get around certain things, and if they're continually faced with it, it's like, this is real. This is reality. Like, sit in the discomfort and feel it and ask yourself, why is this so uncomfortable for me? You
Yeah.
know?
That's exactly where that's exactly where I am with my work. And sometimes when I think about those 500 people, I don't do it often, but in
Sure.
opportunities when we're talking about it like this, I'm like, damn, when was the
Hmm.
last time that you had an uncomfy thought? When was the
Right?
last time that you were presented with something that made you feel a little icky? Was I the first person in a while to make you feel a little icky? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I almost just said something very mean. I was gonna be like, was it see, I don't even wanna say it, but it's almost like, what was learning about the kids dying in Gaza, was that not icky enough for you?
Right?
Was it ICE ripping people out of their cars that are American citizens? Was that not icky enough for you? Like, was I the first person to make you icky? It's it's
Yeah.
a mess. These people are living
Yeah.
in delusion, but this is why I openly and like, man, I have a lot of work to do in my heart because
Hmm.
I am trying to love these people
Hmm.
better. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm with you though. I find myself in that same boat of just being like, when is it going to be enough? What is going to be so uncomfortable for you that you finally start to actually look at it and question why you're fine with that, and what's the line, and why is that your line? And it's just been so interesting. And like, I mean, as a teacher, like school shootings, mass shootings have been a huge, I mean, that's a huge reason why I left quilting, why I left teaching and went
yeah,
to quilting. Um, because the just the anxiety and the stress of like, one, I have safety issues. That's something I've had to work through in therapy, and didn't really realize it until I was like already in the profession. And like there were just certain things that happened that really illustrated that like that's my big issue, is like the
Yeah.
lack of safety. And so that came up, and just, a bunch of other things that kept triggering the points that I was trying to heal in therapy and couldn't do because I kept re-entering the same environment over and over again.
Yeah.
But it's like, what is what is that point? What is that line, and what is the reason that you're so willing to just look away? And um and with the mass shooting quilts that my friend Erin has been putting together,
Mhm.
she was building them, and I was like, who's long arming these for you? Who's quilt are you quilting them? She's like, well, I was hoping to find a long armor. I was like, I'm your girl. Like, sign me up. I'll do it for free. I don't care. Like, I want to be a part of this project because this is a big deal. Like, we don't have to die. People don't have to die like this ever. And so that's a project that, and then she got volunteers to help make the different weeks, because she's like, I can't do this by myself. Like, which she shouldn't have to. It's like, we're here, there's a big community of us who want to support this project and think it should be seen. So I think, much like with the blocks for the Isaiah 117 houses, there's a lot of people that want to help, and there's some people who don't understand it. Go with God and be gone.
Mhm.
But the people that do understand and do get it and have something to say about it, they'll step up and they'll help. And I think that's where the quilting community can be gorgeous, is when people step up and use their voice and use their skills to create something that evokes emotion and pushes boundaries and says, look at this thing that is so fucking ugly that
Mhm.
I've put into textiles and made a quilt out of. I put lace on it. I put beads. I made it look really pretty, but when you look at it, it's going to make you really uncomfortable. So buckle up,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah. I love
So
that.
yeah, yeah, I love it. And I mean, I hope your piece gets in, because like, I mean, one of the quilts in last year's quilt, or this year, 2025. It's like school year. So you say last year,
Yeah.
but you meant like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, was the fuck fentanyl quilt. And it said fuck fentanyl how many
Yeah.
times? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like there's room for that, because I think it is I don't think that um words are just words until you use them to harm somebody. I could call somebody a fuzzball and mean it the same as calling them like an asshat. So it's like it's how you use your words. And so I think when it's used as a sentiment to express the frustration of accepting a body that is wholly and totally different than what you started with, and
Yeah.
or expressing the frustration of like your life being touched by a drug that is being distributed and getting, the death rates of people using it are soaring. And it's like, what else do you say? What else do you say? There's not enough words in the world that can mean the same thing as just saying fuck sometimes,
Mhm.
as you know.
Yeah.
As you
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah.
So I I'm a fan,
Mhm.
and I'm a supporter, and I appreciate your description and explanation of the Isaiah 117 house project, and I love that. It's beautiful. And I, again, am one of those people who sees something associated with Christianity, and I'm like, oh, I question it immediately. And so, and hopefully, discussing it and talking about it and explaining it more will help more people want to get involved, regardless of, you know, the connection. Because I think there's like what Christianity is supposed to be, like what being Christ-like is supposed to be, and then evangelical white Christianity, which is what we're kind of facing, right? The difference between the two presentations. And so, do you follow brown Jesus or do you follow white Jesus?
Yeah.
So,
And even hearing you say the questioning and, like, maybe hearing people and people hearing me explain it further, part of me is like, "No, keep questioning it. Keep keep having your guard up about it because
Mhm.
I have to think like a mom and think about my kids. If I knew that white old dudes are the people that are harming children and being pedophiles, if I knew this about white old dudes in general, I would
Mhm.
always have my fucking guard up around white old dudes when it comes to my kids. And
Right.
we're talking about someone's mental health and their history with being psychologically abused, because I'm just going to throw this hot take before I hop off, that telling a little kid that they're evil and born evil and that they need saving, that's traumatizing. That's
It's
kind of
traumatizing.
abusive. It's kind
Yeah.
of abusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I would always just be weary of it. Like I said,
Mhm.
when people are like, I can't do this fundraiser, I'm like, that sucks,
Okay.
but I get it.
Yeah.
But a plug for, I do have an upcoming fundraiser. I'm going to do the same thing. So I think I'll do spring and fall every time, but I'm going to
Mhm.
do the same thing for more kids. This is going to be for the Trevor Project.
Okay.
Yeah, which is the leading suicide prevention for LGBTQ plus kids.
Mhm.
Because I'm really passionate about kids, but also the
Yeah.
quilts will be posted in May
Okay.
for Mental Health Awareness Month. Because if
Mhm.
anyone listening has not figured it the fuck out yet, I am mentally ill, and there is suicide in my family. Like, it is deep genetic pools streaming down to each of us. So
Mhm.
I feel for these children
Yeah.
going through going through hard times like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, another plug that if anyone's listening to this, we'll have signups. You said it releases December 1st, so we'll have
Mhm.
signups very shortly after December 1st. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So people can start looking for that, kind
Yes.
of get their feelers out for that if they want to participate. So that's awesome. Yeah, I love that there's so many people that want to help kids and that there's organizations that we can help contribute and use our skills to contribute to. So that's incredible.
Yes.
Well, I'm sweaty. I feel like we've talked about so many things and I appreciate every second of it. And before we head out, do you have a tip or piece of advice that you'd want to offer to the listeners?
I told myself that I would answer this question based on what we touched on in the episode. So I think my tip has to be, make the thing in your noodle. And that sounds a
Mm,
little silly, but
no.
I think in my noodle, I have always known that an eating disorder quilt would come from my body, that
Mm,
my hands would make an eating disorder quilt. I think I've always known that my hands would produce something
mhm,
that made me feel and physically, not mentally, physically work through my sexual assault from when I was a teenager. I think
mhm,
I've known these things and I've had these ideas. And the biggest tip that I can share is, yes, making quilts and gifting quilts and making like the pretty layout quilts, that's all good and well,
mhm,
but push yourself and do the thing. Do the idea. It's gonna feel scary, and a lot of my friends know that these art quilt pieces that I've made this year, that I actually end up really hating by the end of them. Like, I see so many problems with all of them and I'm like, "Oh, I hate it. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this." Do it
mhm.
anyways. Make it anyways. Even if you think you're not an artist or you're bad at art, make it anyways. That's my big tip.
Yeah, I love that because I think it can be so therapeutic to use your hands to make something that is expressing what's inside you, and whether it's beautiful or not, or you love it or not, you've still channeled that energy into something else and got it out of your body. So I think that's a great tip. And kind of slinking right through the holidays, it's like sometimes you don't want to make one more Christmas fucking present. So sew something ugly instead and just fuck shit up. And then you
Yeah.
can go about your business. Like, I think that's, I think it's appropriate. I think it's great. And sometimes you do have to make a mess before you can make something beautiful. So,
Yeah.
truly awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and for the conversation. And I'm so glad I got to know more about you and that we could do this. And, hopefully more people want to join these fundraising efforts that you've got going on to help kids in need. And in the meantime, we'll just look for your incredible work and watch for your fun updates on your Instagram, and we'll just keep watching your space.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for inviting me. This was like the funnest email to receive. I was having such a bad day and your email popped up asking me to join and I was like, it's fine. So thanks for inviting me.
So good. Yeah, of course. Anytime. Well, we'll chat again soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.